Have there been some really cool people that you've met just from being on set?
Yeah. I mean, the coolest one, or the two coolest ones I met were Bradley Cooper and Liam Neeson.
Oh, wow. Was Bradley Cooper through Limitless?
Yeah, exactly. We had a fight scene. We rehearsed for 6 days, and all of a sudden I was supposed to punch at him. He was supposed to miss me and just knock me on the ground. The last second, it turns into him grabbing my leg and sweeping the other leg out from under me and slamming on this metal grate. So he said to me, he goes, how are we gonna do this? I said, just grab my leg, sweep the other one out from under me, and physics is gonna take over. And I didn't have a gator back, and that's a real lesson that I learned, because you should bring your stunt bag to even when, you got it all worked out, bring that stunt bag, because if I would have brought my stunt bag, I could have thrown on my gator back, which is just a pad that goes from here to here to protect your spine. But because I do iron body training, I hit it so fucking hard, and when it said cut, I looked at the coordinator, he was like, and then Bradley Cooper, when it said cut, he just came and hugged me. And then when he looked at playback, he came and hugged me again. And he's the only star I've ever worked with, only actor I've ever worked with, that literally gave the stunt coordinator $500 to go buy his drinks.
Oh, wow.
He was such a sweet guy.
Welcome to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. Today I'm joined by my good friend Chazz Menendez. Chazz Menendez is a seasoned stunt performer bringing his versatility to the screen. From his Cuban heritage growing up in Porchester to opening his own stunt school, his journey mirrors his diverse roles in Power, Doctor Strange, and The Sopranos. With Marvel ventures and appearances in law enforcement drama, Chazz's career reaches new heights. We talk about Chazz's personal life too, as well as how his wife saved his life. You can support the Mike Squires and Friends podcast by subscribing on YouTube or downloading on your preferred podcast platform. Definitely do that because it helps me out a lot. The Mike Squires and Friends podcast is proudly sponsored by DistroKid. Looking to broaden your musical horizons as an artist? Discover DistroKid. With its smooth and rewarding music distribution platform, DistroKid offers unlimited uploads while ensuring artists retain 100% of their royalties and earnings. Join the community of over 1 million artists who trust DistroKid to distribute their music across major platforms like Spotify, Apple, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, and more. Having personally used DistroKid since 2018, I can attest to its superiority amongst distribution services. Collaborating with fellow artists has become effortless, especially with the ability to send splits of songs, streamlining the creative process. With the DistroKid app, accessing these benefits is now more convenient than ever. Safely sign up or log in with two-factor authentication, upload releases on the fly, monitor earnings, or withdraw funds from your DistroKid bank. Stay updated on royalties through push notifications. Effortlessly share hyperfollow links, manage account details seamlessly, and track streaming stats from Apple and Spotify. Additionally, explore Mixia for professional-grade mastering, DistroVid for music video distribution, and Instant Share for secure file sharing with collaborators, producers, and more. The DistroKid app is available on both iOS and Android. Download today from the App Store or Google Play Store to revolutionize your music career. Visit distrokid.com/VIP/Mike Squires to get 30% off your first year membership. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Mike Squires and Friends. Chazz, welcome to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast.
Mikey, thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Yeah,
How you doing? I'm
doing great too. I'm excited to have you on. Can you explain what you do for the people who may have never heard of you?
So I stunt coordinated the show Power, which is the #1 show on Stars, for 6 seasons. And then I did its sequel, which is called Ghost, for 4 seasons. And then I did 2 seasons of Raising Canaan. But I first started in 95 when I got in the union doing stunts as a stunt performer.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about all of that. How does one even get into stunts?
I fell into the business.
Okay.
So, I've been a street fighter since I was a kid, martial artist since I was a kid, and my friend Chris Colombo, who owns a martial arts school, turned me on to this. He had a stunt coordinator there called Pete Picosi. He stunt coordinated every episode of Sopranos. Really awesome guy, and he basically gave me my first opportunity.
Is that so? Was your first opportunity The Sopranos?
No. He gave me the first opportunity. Let me just go back a little bit.
Yeah.
I got in the union because a friend of mine, I was a sound designer at a studio in Manhattan, and one of the producers was directing and producing his first feature film. He said, I want you to be the stunt coordinator. I said, sure. what's a stunt coordinator?
Yeah.
And so basically I just, not only did I stunt coordinate it because it was like an actor fight, actor against the actor, which is basically them just rolling around the floor. But I had a scene. I was the guard of a stripper because I had a stripper coming to the bachelor party at a house. And the dude hands me a check and I go, "Ish, only." And I flick a switchblade and I start cleaning my fingernails. That's how I got in the union.
That's crazy, dude.
So.
And for people that, I mean, you've been in so many productions at this point. Can you name a few just so people can get an idea of the level of productions that you've been a part of as far as like doing stunts?
Yeah, I was in Law and Order. I've been like in all the New York shows. Law and Order, Blue Bloods, Sopranos. Let's see what else.
There's so many, dude.
Yeah, so many.
I know that when I was like looking through them, I just kept finding more and more and more, and it was like a never-ending list.
Yep.
Yeah, so, what was your first gig that really changed your game?
Well, I think I was doing that show Third Watch.
Okay.
And I went on set to see the coordinator because we were friends. And on the walkie-talkie, they said, Brian wants to talk to you. He said, "How do you feel about going out a window backwards 20 feet?" And I said, "Cool." So that's a gig that was really special to me, except I had to do it twice because the move was I was getting shot by the ESU guys, and when I bent, I was going to put the shotgun up and then jump out the window because that was like I wasn't on any wire or anything, so that would be my spring. And then the director was going to say, action, squib, but he said squib before I bent my leg. So I went out the window spinning. I hit the cardboard box and he was like, and I said, "Don't worry, I'll do it great next time." Because they didn't, so they had two cameras rolling.
Yeah.
They had one inside and one outside. So the second take, I did the same exact thing, even when I jumped. So white man can't jump, but it looked so gnarly. It was like I cut my back on the ledge.
Oh my goodness!
It looked so gnarly.
I want to talk to you a little bit about that too, because we're going to go through a bunch of roles that you did. But some of these stunts are actually dangerous.
Yeah, you know what? I have a stunt school, and it's always safety first. So we do a lot to make it safe. And like, it looks gnarly. First of all, real fighting is completely different than movie fighting. Because in real fighting, you punch like this and the camera can't see that. So we have to telegraph everything. And that's why it looks so great. So, and then of course we're padded up. Every gig is, we hit the ground hard. That's really tough. And at my stunt school, we do body conditioning, which is basically iron body training. So I get medicine balls and smash the body to build the armor. The best way to describe it is if it doesn't snow for like a couple seasons and all of a sudden it snows a lot and you're shoveling a lot and you get those calluses.
Yeah.
That's what happens to your whole body. So basically you build armor. And that's how I get people. I basically do that is the first part of class. Actually, I speak about professionalism. The second part of class is body conditioning. And that's how I get rid of anybody that doesn't, obviously isn't made for the industry.
Yeah, I want to take it back first. I'm going to take it back and then we'll get back and everything. So your family came here from Cuba.
Yes.
So can you talk about that? I know that they were on the last Red Cross boat, if I'm not.
So what happened was they sent my older brother, who was 9 years old at the time, and my older sister that was 6 years old at the time. There was a program called Operation Pedro Pan. It was the largest exodus of 14,000 kids leaving unaccompanied by their parents in the Western Hemisphere at the time. They had to go to a boarding school in Ukiah, California for 2 years, and that was their ticket out. So basically my mother, father, my other sister, who's even younger, they went with my grandmother on the last Red Cross ship, and I was in my mother's stomach. So I was the only one that was born here. And obviously we had to start from scratch. I thought I grew up poor, but after going to Cuba, I mean, I realized just how much my parents saved our lives. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so bad there. Except the tourist areas are beautiful, but it's basically, you know, and that's why I created supportcubans.life.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that. I want to go through your life. I want to basically kind of go through your life like as chronological.
Right.
So I want to just ask you what it was like growing up in Porchester.
Well, it was the 70s and 80s, so I used to have a window that came out into the top of my garage. I'd jump out it at like 1 in the morning and hang out with my friends all night. And cops would literally drive by you and not ask you where you were going. And then I used to smoke cigarettes from a very young age. And like, again, adults would like, you can literally buy cigarettes at 11 years old.
That's crazy.
It was just crazy. And then because of my family situation, I grew up with these guys that we basically called the Ridge Boys. We used to hang out at the Ridge bowling alleys. So every time there were any holidays, we weren't spending with our families. We would just go there because we all had like family situations that we were dealing with. But then we just hang out together. And it was the era where they said, just say no. Had enough? No.
Yeah. And one thing I know about you is that you volunteered at Ground Zero and after 9/11.
Yeah. For 2 days, and now I have stage 4 brain cancer. But they're saving my life at Memorial Sloan Kettering because I'm on an immune therapy treatment that freezes all my tumors. I have 2 tumors in my brain, 1 small tumor in my neck, 1 tiny tumor in my right lung, and a tumor in the middle of my back near my spine.
Yeah.
But they're all frozen now.
From what I read, too, can we go to the story where, you know, your wife saved your life?
Oh, yeah, that's a funny-ass story.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I met my wife in Kung Fu class when I was 17 and she was 19. So here she is, like, you know, whatever, 30, 40 years later. I'm at a party in 2013 that I go to every year. It's a pool party that with one of our good friends. So I'm teaching a kid that I knew from 6 years old, but that summer I'm teaching him boxing. He's 26 years old at this point. He can't lay a finger on me, so he hands the gloves to my 110-pound wife. And I said to myself, well, should I let her hit me because I'm a stunt guy? Before I could even get the thought off, she cracks me. It's a flash knockout. I hit the ground, and I can't move my arms and legs. And now for the next 3 weeks, I'm spilling water. When I have dinner, I literally went to because I play guitar and sing. I did a gig with a friend of mine. I could not play guitar. So I went to see a doctor 3 weeks later, and he obviously ordered me an MRI. And they found a tumor the size of a small fist on the right side of my brain, front lobal. So you know when you look at the brain, it has all these rivers and stuff?
Yeah.
The other side was just a mass. And how it affected me, I could still box, but I couldn't do Kung Fu, so I had balance issues. I couldn't go low. The second they took when I woke up from that surgery, it was like flicking a switch. I had all my coordination. They didn't want me to work for 6 months. I went back to work full out 6 weeks later.
What are you thinking before you're going into the surgery?
I think, you know, I'm a little nervous, and that's why I did that video. It's actually the most watched seizure video. I think 8.5 million people.
Yeah.
So they're filming the interview. My friend is filming the interview. And in the middle of the interview, first you see dogs, you know, my dogs coming up to me because they sense it. And then you see my arm frozen. And all of a sudden I'm doing this. And then he shuts the camera off because I start having a seizure. And I'm like, call 911. And so he shut the camera off, but I had an audio source going. And the first thing I said after seizure is like, you have that shit on camera, right?
Yeah, that's like the most. Yeah, I would be thinking the same thing though too.
You got to watch the video because I literally edited it, and you could put it in.
No, I saw it, but everyone who's listening should definitely go check it out.
So, if you just put my first seizure, you'll see me slumped in a chair.
I want to talk to you. I want to get into your productions, dude, because there are so many, and I want to talk to you about some of your experiences on set. I got to talk to you about The Sopranos, dude. What was it like, you know, working on that?
Okay, so the first thing I did was I was in this big, you know, the blacks and the Italians are fighting each other at this construction site. And I worked like 14 hours that day. And then I tell all my friends in Porchester, they look at it and it's like a half a second. And from that point on, I was like, I'm not telling anybody. And that was like one of my first stunts. And I said, I ain't telling everybody. If I get a call, I know they saw me. But if I don't get a call, I just did my job. So
yeah. And how does it work? Like, when did you start getting calls?
Probably around, let's see, I did Oz in, I don't know when it started, maybe 1999 or 98. And then by the end of that season, there was 8 episodes. By the end of that season, I finally got in the stunt department for pinching a dude's ass. Anyway, then they put me, they gave me dialogue for, just small scenes fighting like the Irish guys but I was a legit stunt person at that point. And then it just takes years. You just have to, you have to work on jobs that give you the time off because you have go-sees, you have to do auditions sometimes. The difference with acting auditions, because I tried to be an actor once. I mean, I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, but then I got into stunts and, your lines are like, what's the matter with you? Then you get shot. It's like very small. Dialogue, but when I went to try to be an actor, like 3 pages of copy that you had to rehearse, like memorize in one night. And I would go into a room with 12 actors. I was like, fuck this. I mean, it was like I got so much respect for actors.
Yeah, dude. And another thing I want to talk to you about is Doctor Strange. We talked about it like very briefly before this, but...
So I was getting residual checks for Doctor Strange, and I was with my friend Tim Gallen, who's a stunt coordinator. And I said, I'm getting these residual checks for Doctor Strange, and I was never even in the movie. He goes, I hired you, because I was coordinating that movie, and it was those helicopter shots. So you didn't see me. I was driving a car. So they were taken from I was like, oh, shit, I didn't even realize. Because when you get calls for stunts, you never ask. You know the show you're working on, but you never ask what stunt it is. So I teach a class in New Rochelle, and I teach expected skills. What expected skills is when stunt coordinators ask you if you're available, and you say yes, you're expected to know all these different things, how to fall, how to fight. But if it's a higher stunt, like a stair fall or a fire burn or a car thing, obviously they ask you that first. So that's when, that's the difference between expected skills are like every stunt job, except the higher, like high falls and all that are completely different.
Yeah, when you're on set, is there like an expectation of how you're supposed to carry yourself on set? Like,
yeah, you gotta be quiet, man. You gotta be quiet and just keep your eyes on the coordinator. You gotta help him with his mats. And we're always the last. Like the actors get 20 takes, but stunt people gotta be one and done because shit gets broken. And it's like they have to reset. And I'll tell you a story about that. So I'm doing Tower Heist with Jerry Hewitt, who was stunt coordinating it, who always, he's died a couple years ago, but his signature line was, now have fun. Remember to have fun. So two things happened on that movie. So I was doubling this really fat guy, and the director comes up to me, I don't remember his name, but he comes up to me, he says to Jerry, why isn't this guy fat? And I see a tissue box right next to me. And I just put tissue in my mouth. He goes, that's pretty good. So I got to drive a box truck into this, smashing it into this garage through the fence of the garage in Columbus Circle. And if I go too deep, I basically hit the air conditioners. So this is the first time I ever saw Jerry get mad. He basically tells the extras to get out of the way. And then he says, get the fuck out of the way. Remember to have fun. And then I go smashing through this thing, and luckily I was just like 2 inches away.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah, so
I was going to ask you that. What's the most dangerous stunt that you've done, whether knowing at the time or not?
So I think it was going out the window 20 feet high through glass on third watch. There might be other ones, but that's the most I remember because I didn't have a wire on me, and the stunt coordinator basically showed me I was going to just spring. So I had to put a shotgun up because the ESU guys are shooting me, and I'm getting shot out the window. And so when I put the gun up, I bend my knees so I get the spring. So the director says, I'm going to call it, because I worked it out with the effects guys, but then the director comes in, says, I'm going to call it. And he says, roll camera, action, squibs. Instead of, he was supposed to say, get the shotgun up. So I didn't get to bend my knees. And I went out the window. It was so fucking gnarly. And then I had to do it twice because I didn't obviously get the gun going up.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I got this now. And literally, I did the same thing. I did it all right, but it was the same fall out the window. And I was like, I guess white man can't jump.
Yeah.
So this grip comes up to me and says, yo, how do you do that? And I said, physics? And I had high falls on my resume until I started doing like seminars, like 10 years later at my house, and we had a high fall tower. And I was so fucking terrified that as soon as I did jump after like 5 minutes, but as soon as I jumped, I went right to the computer and took high falls off my resume.
Yeah, no, I feel that too, dude. Like, just because you just didn't want to continue doing those types of gigs.
It's not, well, like I said, I'll do it for money. That's my motivation is money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would have done it again, but it's not on my resume, so not going to do that shit.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about your experience working on Power.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
It was right up my sleeve because I was a street fighter as a kid, and that movie's all about street fighting. That show was all about street fighting, so it was just like, they're like 10-second fights because that's how every fight I got in was 10 seconds or shorter, or up to 30 seconds, but no longer than that, except when they're two alphas fighting. And so on Power, the only two alphas that fought were Ghost and Tommy, which were best friends, and that was a lot longer. And that's a great story because Tommy's double, I was having a squib seminar that weekend, and Tommy's double came to it for free. I gave I gave him a free seminar. So he's getting squibbed, and when I go to see where squibs are, they were this high. I said, you cannot turn your head. And he requested them that high. So we drilled a hole in the fence of my backyard, and we had two other guys in the backyard. No, three guys. So when he gets shot, he gets slammed into the fence, right? I had a wooden fence. And the other side was a picket fence. No, it was those fences with holes on them. What are they called?
Is it chain link?
Chain link fence.
Okay.
So he allowed us to do it, and so we shoot him, and we pull him, and I see this hole in his face. I go, wow, that's great. If I was on set, I would have been like, that's great. But he didn't have fucking makeup. So he literally had this huge hole in his face, and he had to double Tommy the next day.
Oh, wow.
In that alpha fight. So he had to roll off a pool table to hit the ground with Ghost on top of him. Luckily, we hit his face right on the leg, so you didn't see his face. So that's how we got it at. Basically what you do as a stunt coordinator, you just put out fires all day. We make pre-vises, which are basically, I would shoot them for the show, which are basically stunt doubles coming in and showing the choreography for the actual actors. But that could change in a dime from the location, what the actor wants to do. It just gives an outline. But you got to be able to think on your feet. Oh, let's do this. Like right immediately. Immediately you got to think on your feet. So and that's something I'm really good at. So
yeah, can you also explain what a squib is for those at home that might not know?
Oh, it's when they're bullet holes and they pop.
Yeah.
And you can feel them, and that's what makes you react.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
how is the feeling? Is it like intense? Like, can they hurt or not really?
Well, if you put them in backwards.
Oh yeah.
Which I had a friend that put him in. He actually put him in backwards on his arm, and if he didn't pull his pad down, he literally could have. No, what was it?
It wouldn't have been good.
It wouldn't have been good.
It totally wouldn't have been good.
And it wasn't good. It was like it fucked him up. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
What's like one of the craziest things that you've seen on set?
Let's see. Oh, car flips. Those are crazy. I mean, they literally have to prep for days. They put a what's it called? A capsule with just enough gas to do the stunt, because else the car would blow up. And you're like a 5-point harness. They put a roll bar in there. I mean, it's all about prep, and it's all about being safe. So,
what set was that on?
That was on a show called
You've done so many, dude. Like, trust me, I've seen like
the list. It was called, shit.
How many have you done at this point?
Oh, hundreds, man.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, just so the people at home can, I mean, you've done just so many. Like, what have been some of your favorite productions to do?
Oh, Powers, without a doubt.
Yes.
I don't normally watch my stunts. I don't even care about watching them. I just care about doing them. Great. I mean, I worked on Shades of Blue with Jennifer Lopez and what's his name? He just passed away. He was in Goodfellas. The lead actor from Goodfellas.
Oh man,
my boss, Literally Dumple. Remember the when they're stomping that dude?
Yeah,
that was stomping my boss Pete. So that was an amazing movie. Oh, Ray Liotta.
There you go.
Ray Liotta and Jennifer Lopez.
I was gonna ask that too. Have there been some really cool people that you've met just from being on set?
Yeah, I mean the coolest one, or the two coolest ones I met, were Bradley Cooper. And Liam Neeson.
Oh wow, was Bradley Cooper through Limitless?
Yeah, exactly.
I saw that.
So we had a fight scene. We rehearsed for 6 days, and all of a sudden I was supposed to punch at him. He was supposed to miss me and just knock me on the ground. The last second, it turns into him grabbing my leg and sweeping the other leg out from under me and slamming on this metal grate. So he said to me, he goes, "How are we going to do this?" I said, "Just grab my leg, sweep the other one out from under me, and physics is going to take over." And I didn't have a gator back, and that's a real lesson that I learned, because you should bring your stunt bag to even when, you got it all worked out, bring that stunt bag. Because if I would have brought my stunt bag, I could have thrown on my gator back, which is just a pad that goes from here to here to protect your spine. But because I do iron body training, I hit it so fucking hard. And when it said cut, I looked at the coordinator. He was like, ah. And then Bradley Cooper, when it said cut, he just came and hugged me. And then when he looked at playback, he came and hugged me again. And he's the only star I've ever worked with, only actor I've ever worked with, that literally gave the stunt coordinator $500 to go buy his drinks.
Oh, wow.
He was such a sweet guy.
No, it's good hearing stories like that, too. Yeah. What else, do you have any other memories from working on Limitless?
I only did that one scene.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And so what scene was it?
It's the fight scene in the subway.
So that's
when
he
goes, "I don't know how to fight," or do I? And then it flashes back to Bruce Lee and all these different pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these, obviously giving him the lessons from his memory.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee, everybody. And then he's just fighting 6 people.
Yeah.
And he's kicking our ass.
It feels appropriate to bring it up right now, dude. You have a tattoo of Bruce Lee, too.
Oh, yeah, man. He's literally saved my life, man.
Yeah.
His philosophy I live by, and his attitude. And listen, pay attention. If you're watching Enter the Dragon or Chinese Connection, any of these movies, they don't move. He'll take out up to 13, 17 people, and it's in one take. You can't do that these days. I try to do it in my stunt school, and it's near impossible. And that's how great he was. Not only that, he was acting since he was 6 years old. And his father was in the Chinese opera school, which was the school that I think that Jackie Chan and Jet Li and Sammo Hung would go to. And the parents would literally sign release forms, that if they died during training,
wow,
they wouldn't be liable.
That's insane.
Yep.
Because it was just that intense?
Yeah. Crazy, man.
You
see Jackie Chan?
Yeah. I just can't even imagine, dude. You know?
Yeah. Me either, man.
Yeah.
Although my parents would gladly sign it. No. My wife would gladly sign it. No.
No. But, so your wife does stunts, too?
No. She's a nationally rated kung fu artist when she was young.
Okay.
Yeah. When she was 19, she would win trophies. And she's only 5'1". And they would be they literally would have to go home with a person that has a sunroof or a convertible. And our attic is full of her trophies.
That's amazing, dude. Yeah. And how did you end up connecting with her?
In Kung Fu class.
In Kung Fu class?
See, she's got a black sash, but I never wanted to get a black sash because I street fight all the time, or at that time I did. And if you got a black belt or a black sash, you're going to go to jail because you're obviously a weapon. That's why they tried to give them to me. I said, "No, man, I'm not taking these."
So at what point are you in Kung Fu class? And is this because you want to get into stunts or?
No. I didn't.
You just were doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is just early on. This is you wanting to better yourself.
Well, this was me wanting to protect myself against, my family. A family member.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you wanted to get your skill, and then
I had to learn how to fight.
and then that learning to fight is what really launched you into your full career.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Chris Colombo, who's a good friend of mine and owns a jiu-jitsu school at the time, we would have fight night.
Okay.
So it was like full contact fighting. And then he had Pete Picosi there because they were looking to cast people on the show New York Undercover, which he coordinated. And that's how I got in the business.
Yeah.
And it's literally preparation equals success. And that's really what it was. I prepared for all that.
Yeah.
I listened. I knew I had to put that switch on from real fighting, REAL, to real fighting, REEL. And that was it.
Yeah. And you also, so you got an award too, didn't you, for Doctor Strange?
No, I think the stunt team might have.
Okay,
yeah.
but that you're in that, aren't you? Considered?
Oh yeah, I mean yeah.
Well, that's cool. What
But
I
I was
mean?
just driving a car with a helicopter watching,
But yeah, I was gonna say though, it's good having your work acknowledged though.
This is how I feel about the Oscars because people want stunt people to get Oscars, right? I feel like if you do that, there's a lot of stunt coordinators that get hired because they were in the war and they get war films, but they don't know how to do it for movies. So I think if you put a category like that in the Oscars, people are going to try to outdo each other and someone's going to get hurt or maybe die.
I see what you're saying because they're just gonna keep pushing the boundary.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, and when I told that, because people, and everybody I say, I just tell them that, and they say, "Oh man, that makes a lot of sense."
That does make a lot of sense, and I wouldn't even think like that until you say it, because then everyone's going to be trying to do the new whatever thing, and that all it takes is one of those.
They're going to try to do Jackie Chan shit, which is crazy.
Yeah.
When I met Jackie Chan.
That's insane. You got to tell me that story.
Yeah.
You can't just say that. I'll tell me that.
I was like 21 or 22, and my friend Mike was the manager. MTV was shot downstairs from the studio I was sound designing, and Jackie Chan came after Rumble in the Bronx, and it was like the most people that came that had to kick him out.
Wow.
So I go downstairs. He told me to be there at whatever time, and the hallways are completely empty. I'm like, fuck. And all of a sudden, the side door of the stage opens up, and Mike's like, come on in. So I meet Jackie Chan, and there's this kid in front of me getting an autograph. So I didn't have nothing to autograph, so I took off my shirt, and I basically had him sign. I got a big dragon on my back, and I had him sign that. They took a picture of it, and it's on my wall right now.
Oh, that's incredible, dude.
Everyone told me to fill it in. I was like, fuck that. If I fill it in, all of a sudden Jackie Chan will get arrested for child molestation.
Oh, no. Yeah, dude. So, I mean, meeting Jackie has probably got, who are the people?
Totally inspiring.
Well, that's what I'm going to say,
And I told him I took Kung Fu, Mantis Kung Fu. It was like meeting, I don't get starstruck, but with him, I definitely was starstruck.
Yeah, I was going to say, were there influences or movies that, really inspired you to get into this?
Bruce Lee, man. Totally,
Yeah.
man. Totally. And stunt performers will make them look good. It's not them fighting good. It's how the stunt performers react.
Yeah.
Any movie the fight movie, so there's this thing called egg on the face, and that's when people are waiting. You could see that they're waiting to jump in. So I teach that as well. There's a movie called The Raid, no egg on the face, and they do crazy shit. They literally move walls. They do, and that white dude, first movie he ever directed, that was an action movie. And he just got right out of the box, and one of the most amazing, he actually did two, Raid and Raid Redemption.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
And now I remember a quote that you said. It's that you make the rock stars look like rock stars.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And, because you'll have these actors that don't do their stunts, but, the average person thinks it's them. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah, because that's how it's cut together. You know what I mean? So is there a specific person that you've ever stood in for that you gave an insane performance on your end and you're like, this person, they look very cool now because of it?
Well, that's what we do all the time. Like
Yeah.
I doubled a couple actors. The first one the only one that I could really think of at the top of my head was Michael Chiklis on Gotham.
Okay.
So there was one scene where they were going to hit him over the head with a bottle, and he wanted to do it. But I said, look, you're going to get cut. He goes, oh, it's a candy glass. All right. And, of course, he did the first take, and I did the second take. Because a candy glass is candy glass, but it cuts you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, and then I had, what's his name, John Ritter's son. We did a movie, and he was going to hit me in the head. He shoved the bottle in my eye.
Oh, no.
And it smashed in my eye. It didn't go in my eye, but
Thank God. Yeah.
But, it, you know. So that was, you know, it was what it was. But that's our job, you know. Like I said, we got to do the one take. It's either one and done on TV, or you can do it up to 20 takes for movies. I did M. Night's film Glass.
Okay.
It had to do, you know, when the Beast, have you seen Glass?
I haven't seen Glass.
Okay, so there's a scene where the Beast, he's like this character. It's James McAvoy. He has like 24 personalities, and he turns into the Beast, and he comes running at us, me and my good friend Brian Donahue, and that's another story. So I had to do that 26 times, and each time was like, perfect, do it again, perfect, do it again, perfect, do it again. And I literally had to get hand pulled onto a mat, but sometimes I didn't land on the mat.
Oh, wow.
So, and then when he killed us, they were dragging. Well, Brian was up, but my hands had to drag around across the concrete, and you can't put Band-Aids because then they're gonna see, you know, the Band-Aids come off. So I just had to bite the bullet and
keep it pushing.
My knuckles were all full of blood.
Oh, no, dude.
Yeah, so, it's okay. It's my job, man.
Yeah. Is that, like, what's the... I'm kind of hesitant to ask, but, like, what's the most hurt you've ever got?
So I only got injured once.
Okay.
And that was, like, just a few years ago. So I did, like, a 28, 38, 32-beat fight scene. And the first 2 beats, my friend Steve Brown, that was doubling the lead actor, slams me into the wall, a concrete wall, but I trip and I pop my shoulder out of socket. But I'm not stopping. So I literally think I'm punching like a T-Rex, but I saw the video back, and I'm punching like I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
And it pops back in.
Mid-scene?
During that punch, doing that punch, and it pops back in, right?
That's the most metal thing I've heard all day.
So, again, 32 bites,
Yeah.
32 beat fight scene, and when it's over, they're like all clapping. I go, "You sure, man?" Because I just popped my shoulder out of my socket, and he, "No, you're good." So we told the AD, and he told the medic, and he said, "You know, we're going to take you to the hospital." And I said, "Nah, man, you're not, because I can do it. I could do it again." And they wanted me to sign a paper, which I signed. So that they did. You know, they asked me,
Yeah.
and I had to stay because that's what it is, man.
Yeah. I got to bring... We talked about this, or you brought it up briefly earlier, and we just didn't elaborate on it, but you said you met Liam Neeson.
Oh, yeah.
We got to talk about that.
I did a nonstop with him.
Okay.
And first thing I ask actors are, do you have any part of your body that I have to avoid? Because, you know, people get injured and just don't want to do anything to injure them. So he said, nah, man, I'm a pussy. You can do whatever you want. And if you watch the movie, I'm like on top of him. It's like a long fight scene. He throws me all over the place. There's like 5 of us fighting because we're basically passengers that we think he's a bad guy. So we get in this fight, and I'm the last person that you see, like right next to his face, and so I got burned up. Well, they call when you do TV shows, they're called burning when they see your face. So when you watch the episode and you don't see the face, you call the coordinator and say, "I haven't been burned yet." That's why I was literally on 5 seasons of Person of Interest with Jimmy Caviezel, and the coordinator said I was the person that worked the most every season because I knew how to hide my face. What you do is you look where the camera is, and you just make sure you just get in your face hit a little bit, and then when you shoot, you put the gun in front of your face. Actors do the complete opposite; they want to see their face, and then once you get hit, you turn to a professional blur. Yeah,
like I guess rule of thumb is if you can see the camera, that's not a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
If there's someone in front of you, I mean, if the director tells you to go in front of him, obviously you're burned. And when you speak, obviously you're burned. But yeah, so that's the difference between actors and stunt performers.
What's the big difference between TV and movies?
Well, TV's got less money, so we gotta do it in one take. because of all the shit that breaks up. And you do it in 2 takes if the camera fucks up or if the director wants a different angle. But they normally have three angles. So basically I asked the director, which angle do you want the punch to work? Because let's say the punch is here and if the camera's there, it doesn't read, right? But if you put it here and go across, it's just like you got to be able to manipulate your body.
Totally, and have an understanding of everything too.
Yeah, and let's say it's not natural. Like you would totally move this way, but you have to land there. So you just have to manipulate your body so it doesn't look like you're purposely going there, but that's where they want you to land. That's where you have to land.
Yeah, another film that you worked on too, I want to talk to you about Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil was just one episode that I did, but when I did that fall, the coordinator was like, holy shit.
Really?
Yeah. And I also did one of the Spidermans, and we had a rehearsal.
Okay.
And I went real slow, and the coordinator was like, because he was from LA, he goes, Chazz, what's that? I go, the camera rolls. And when the camera rolled, he was like, holy shit.
Which Spider-Man was it?
I don't know. They had so many of them.
Yeah, no, that's very fair.
It was the one that Jamie Foxx was in. He played Electrode.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what he did. He electrified us all.
So were you on set with all these dudes?
Yeah.
Did you get like an opportunity to like talk with them?
No.
That's like what you were kind of go back to what you were saying before, like just being quiet.
Well, sometimes, I mean, I'm Power, obviously, I get to work with everybody because I'm a stunt coordinator.
Yes.
As a stunt performer, you don't want to, I'm never starstruck. So, we know that, we have to stay away from them. We don't want to take selfies with them.
And it goes with a sense of just like professionalism too.
Exactly.
No, that makes a lot of sense to me. How does the business work when you're doing like, you know what? That's a good thing. We'll kind of hit one at a time. How does the business work on a television show versus a movie?
Again, movies, you don't get to rehearse. You just have to be on. I mean, you rehearse at the moment.
Yeah.
You figure it out on set, and then the camera rolls. And if you do it great, so in other words, your body's got to be conditioned to do it one and done, I call it, or you have to do it 25 or 26 times. Because I had to do it 26 times getting hand pulled, and I got injured by the 5th take, but just because the cable wrapped around my leg, but no one ever knew it. And when I got out of the car that night, I was walking like I was 90 years old, but when I woke up in the morning, I was 100% because of the body conditioning.
When they call you, are they like, hey, we have X amount of money like to come out for the full day?
They never talk about money. We just get, if we work 2 hours, 1 hour, or 8 hours, you get paid the same amount of money. After 8 hours, you get paid time and a half, and after those 2 hours, you get paid double time.
Okay.
Now, that double time, let's say you get a stunt adjustment, like a $300 or $400 stunt adjustment. They take that into the overtime. So you can make up to $3,000 a day. I call it the lotto business because you don't know what you're going to make that day. And if you make more, you fucking hit lotto.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know because, there's a lot of people that have 9-to-5 jobs where even what you just said is such a foreign concept of like, because most people don't work unless they know exactly what they're getting, right?
Well, you got to be trained for it.
Yeah.
It's not like, everyone thinks they can do stunts. Nah, man, you can't do stunts if you don't know how to look at the camera angle and know how to punch because everything, let's say the camera's up there. You just throw the punch under the chin. Because you won't see the gap. So people don't know that. So you go like this, and you practice with the stunt performer. And I can't make a fist. When I make a fist, it goes like
the birds.
So, yeah, forgive me. Anyway, you have to know all the camera angles. It's like you got to be like, I can look at a lens and see where it's aimed at, and I know exactly where to stand and throw punches.
Well, that's really cool. Like, my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the thing is, it's like, it's just so much more than just the physical. It's like really understanding how it looks.
We're the smartest people. I mean, obviously, everybody's smart on set, but it's
when it comes to stunts and stuff.
When it comes to stunts, like people don't realize like how important that is, and how literally we're the last takes of every TV show, or every scene were the last takes.
Yeah, was there a moment on set where somebody like disagreed with what you were saying and then they ended up just like, you were just like, oh, we should have done it this way?
No. Never. I always agree with directors.
Okay.
Well, there was one scene. There was a director, and I basically put the choreography so that he kicks the other actor in the shins. He's like, no, I want it more street. And that was literally the first street fight I got in. I was like 6 years old making fun of this fat kid because he had cockroach killers on. And he kicked me right in the shin, and I went home crying. It was like literally my first fight, and I lost it big time. So it was totally a street technique, but I changed the choreography right away. And so I never argue with directors. There are stunt coordinators that do that. Nobody I know, but I heard a DP came and worked on Power or Ghost, and he told me I was like one of the best stunt coordinators he's ever worked with because I didn't argue with him. He worked with a stunt coordinator that wanted to put the cameras wherever he thought they should be. The fuck, man? That's why when I shoot previs, I shoot them as oneers. So it's basically the camera rolls, and I just make sure that it's in the right spot so you could see the choreography. I don't want to do specialty shots because then what if the director wanted to do that specialty shot and he saw that you had it on the previs? Then he's going to think that the audience is going to, or this person that did the previs, he's going to think it was their idea, so he might, their egos, so he might change his shot. I said, always do oneers.
Yeah. Can you walk me through what a day on set looks like from like beginning to end, where it's like you get to set, like what's the first thing that's happening?
Well, you got to read the sides.
Okay.
You got to go into makeup and wardrobe. Then you got to wait a lot because, like I said, we're always the last people. So they might call you in like close to the shot, like a couple hours, but they normally call you in the beginning of the day, and you're like, you got a ton of overtime. It's just like crazy.
Yeah. So most of the time you're just sitting there and waiting for your moment.
Yeah. So I know what my moment is.
Yeah.
Because with TV, we literally get to rehearse. But sometimes we don't. It just might be like a gunfight or something. And the most important thing, though, is to read the sides. And then go to wardrobe. Because you want to know what you're doing. And when stunt performers don't read the sides, the stunt coordinator is going to get pissed off at you.
Yeah. What was one of the longest productions that you worked on?
Well, all the Power series and Ghost and Raising Canyon, those are...
Yeah. Well, I meant by longest, I mean like maybe like the longest day that you've ever had on set.
Well, Golden Hour, unfortunately, ended before I can have one because Golden Hour is basically the next 2 hours after 8 is time and a half. The next 2 hours is double time. And then when you get into the 18 hours, it's the day's pay every hour.
That's insane.
Yeah, but I never got one of those,
that might be like, from a money standpoint, you'd want to get one, but being awake for 18 hours and like...
Oh, no, adrenaline keeps you going, bro.
Okay, I was going to ask.
I've been hurt a lot of times, but adrenaline gets you. You don't feel it to the next day. Even if I worked 5 days in a row, I won't feel it to the 6th day. Until I'm done with that job, I never feel it.
I was going to say, like, what are you doing too? Like, are you a lot of physical training just to like stay in shape for these jobs?
Oh, hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what type of
You got to be an athlete. So you got to be a football player, or you could be a rugby player, you could be a gymnast. They're really great. And I'm a fighter. So I've been a boxer, full contact boxer, full contact kung fu fighter. Did a lot of tournaments and had like 17 boxing matches, white collar matches and smokers with cops. Never been knocked out. And the reason why I do that is to keep that edge for street fighting. Because that's literally, it's like, you're in a ring with a guy trying to take your head off. But I only fight with what he's given me. So if he's not trying to knock me out, I'm not going to try to knock him out.
You reciprocate the energy.
Yes. So I had this one fundraiser that I did that this guy was supposed to fight, hurt his neck. So he said, you can fight with this guy, but this guy's better. I said, I'll take the better guy. And then we're having a conversation with him. And he's like really nice. But when he gets on the stage, in the ring, he's like taunting me. And I'm sitting in my corner. Guy goes, is this guy for real? Because his people were in the audience. None of my people were in the audience. I just had my corner guy and like Chuck Zito's nephew, who was a boxer. So the first thing I did was I just bloodied up his nose, and then he was just, and then the ref was like, "Yo, man, that's a fundraiser." And I said, "That's okay. I just had to put him in his place." I didn't say that to him, but
you thought it.
And then I just, obviously the first round or the second round, it was only 3 rounds. The second round, I got the best of him, but I knew he was scared, so I only, I gave him like bitch punches.
Yeah.
And then the third round, I let him hit me a couple times because there's people. So they were like, "Oh," they got the cheer.
Yeah. But then at that point, you're just in such control. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Where it's like, it doesn't even matter because you just have control over the
Yeah, I
ring.
don't want to knock anybody out unless they want to knock me out. And the first fight I got into, which was at Gleason's, and you can see that on YouTube. You look up Chazz Milkbone Menendez.
Okay.
Because I got mauled by a German Shepherd called, what was his name, Sparky.
That's crazy.
And I said, "There's nothing that you can do to me that Sparky hasn't already done."
That's actually really
funny. So my
funny.
fight name was Chazz Milkbone Menendez.
That's actually really funny, dude.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, so how often are you doing like these gigs? You know what I mean? Like let's say you got booked for a movie today. Like, what would be the gap between the next one, or is it just a constant, just always
For me,
going?
it's constant. Once I could work from 3 to 5 days a week, especially on stunt coordinating, which is great.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you. Like, what was one of the from all the films that you did? What was like an experience that you had on set that was just like very memorable?
This is a funny ass scene. So, I'm working with Jerry Hewitt, the stunt coordinator, and I'm the boxing coordinator on this show. So Jennifer Lopez is having he's holding this young kid, and I mean young. He looked like he was 16 years old. Is holding focus mitts for her, and she was chewing gum. So I took the gum from her. Then I take a picture with all 4 of us, me, Jerry, the guy that was making out with her. Oh, I didn't say that part. So in the middle of the training, she throws him down on the mat, takes off her shirt, has obviously a sports bra, and starts making out with her. And I was like, I was giving him mints. It was crazy. And then we took the 4 pictures and I sent it to my wife. She goes, "You jealous?" I go, "No." She gave me gum. It's X. I'm chewing on it right now.
Oh no.
And then every time we would do a scene, she would be chewing gum before the scene, and Jerry would go, she'd take a nap and goes, "Gonna get her gum now." And then I came up with a joke that we're gonna put it all in a ball. And we're gonna have people pay to take bites out of it.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I mean, she's so fine, and she's really professional. When you're working in a scene with her, she's very sweet. But if you're not working in a scene with her, she won't even say hi because she's extremely busy.
No,
I get it.
Makes sense too. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things too where it's like, I mean, you've worked with so many people, dude. Was there another celebrity that you had a good experience with?
Oh, all the people from Power, Woody, Omari Hardwick, Joe Sikora is like one of my favorite actors. We're still friends. He does a ton of movies too, as Omari Hardwick does. But and he just shows me so much love. Both of them do.
Yeah. And you were also in a ton of Law & Order episodes.
Yeah.
We got to talk about that. We can't not talk about that.
Yeah, so let's see. One of them I was an actor with, I got hit with a bat. And Mariska Harding, right?
I think you're right on that, yeah.
So Mariska really loves me. So she's actually the one that asked me to come do that episode. And Jennifer Hewitt, she said hi to me so like, "Oh my God, Chazz!" And Jennifer Hewitt, who was coordinating that episode for Jerry, she was like, "She never says that to me."
That's funny.
And I was literally in a scene that she was directing, and a person had hit me with a bat, and she goes, "Are you padded up?" I go, "No." She goes, like, Anyway, so that's one scene. I also had to do the scene where I am 43 stories up on a window washer. I'm playing a window washer with my friend Elliot.
Yeah, you were showing me that before.
They gave us a 5-minute rehearsal, like how to use the thing. Then the camera guy, who's the director, is standing between us to film, and he says, "Okay, let's do this." And literally, it was windy, and then the rope came off the track. I mean, it was really scary. But when they did, so what happens is it's in the beginning. You know how they always show a scene that is basically starts the show. So the scaffolding goes down. Now, we're on a floor that there's like 10 feet under us. So that we're safe, because if we would have fallen off, and we were actually, we had harnesses on us, because that's what all window washers have. And then I fall off, and he goes, "You all right?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "He isn't." And you look inside, and you see a dead person.
Oh, wow.
So that was really scary. I mean, 43 stories, man. I never expected to do that.
Yeah. Are you incredibly nervous before that, or you can't even afford to be nervous in those moments?
Like I said, man, money is... I mean, I was a little nervous, but I knew it was my job. I knew how to do it. So...
You got it done.
Money's an incentive, man.
Is there any, like, gigs that you looked back on that you're just like, that was insane? Like, why did I do that? You know, and maybe it wasn't worth the money, or no, it was just every time.
Never.
Yeah. So I'm trying, like, well, can we talk about a stunt that maybe you were really proud of, too?
This is what I did. Here's a good scene. So there's a Michael Fassbender movie that's called Shame. Have you heard of it?
I have to. Actually, Shame is next up on my list to talk about.
So in this scene, for my rehearsal,
yeah.
I hear everybody in the room going nuts, like screaming. And I read the copy, and it was basically, in the credits, it was called Muscular Man. And he was having a conversation. He was a sex addict, and he was having a conversation with my girlfriend. And I walk over, and I say, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And he says to me, I don't want to say it, but he wants to do all these things to her. And I'm like laughing, and I'm looking around in the rehearsal. And then when the rehearsal's over, Steve McQueen, who was the director, and Michael Fassbender said, "Why were you looking around and smiling?" He goes, "Because I was looking for bouncers, because I knew I was going to fuck him up." And they were like, "That's brilliant." And I got the part. So now I'm shooting it. We're shooting the scene, and Michael Fassbender starts putting his fingers in front of my nose. And after the first take, I noticed he was actually fingering her under the table.
Oh, wow.
And I said to the director, I said, "Yo, Steve, he's fingering under the table." He goes, "But you don't know that." I said, "What do you mean I don't know it? When he sticks his finger in my nose, I'm going to know it." So she goes, "Go for it." So I told the actress, when he does that, pull me back, because I'm going to go to punch him. You don't see it, but you feel it. And then when I go outside, I go, "What's up? How you doing, Romeo?" And then I just punch him in the stomach, kick him in the face, and then I spit on him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. It was like one of my favorite shows working.
Oh, you know what I want to talk about? Because I thought this was random, because I don't even remember a stunt scene in this movie. Precious. What was going on in Precious?
Let's see, Precious, that was so long ago.
It was very long ago. It was like 2008 or 2009, dude. But it's one of those movies that's ingrained in my brain.
I think it might have been like, ND stunts, nondescript.
Okay.
Or I'm either driving something or I'm getting bumped into. Those are nondescript. So that's when you get to that point, you know that you're a successful stunt person. Because it's just ND, it's nondescript. So if stunt coordinators hire for those things, then they trust you completely. Yeah.
So what's like, what are the levels of stunt coordination? You know what I mean? Like, where is like, what's like the totem pole? Like, where do you start, and like, what's the?
Well, there's specialties.
Okay.
So my thing was fight choreography, and like I said, power was right up my alley because it's street fighting. So literally be like one punch, or grabbing somebody from the throat, or there was one scene in Ghost where the character Ghost, played by Omari Hardwick, was in jail, and this guy was like trying to be sweet on him, and actually hold his hands, grabs his hand, and I just had him do this to instead of anything else. And that's like thinking off the top of your head, because that's something that I would totally do on the street.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it to music videos too, because you've been in a couple music videos. One in particular of an artist that I'm a huge fan of. You were in a Kid Cudi music video.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I actually met, what's his name? Shit.
Describe him. I will definitely know this.
He was married to Kim Kardashian.
Kanye West?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's a little dude, man. I thought he was going to be bigger.
Yeah, no.
But he was terrified because it was a room full of stunt performers.
It would make sense because I think at the time Kid Cudi was signed to Kanye.
Yeah.
And his like good music label. How was it like meeting Kanye?
I didn't really meet him. I just saw him.
Oh, and like, yeah. And then, so in the Cuddy video, it's like kind of like a fight. There's just like so much fighting.
Yeah.
What was going on? Like, what were you doing in the Cuddy music video?
Probably taking I really don't remember. They all blur into one. The cool thing is I was an AD for like 5 years. And I AD'd the music video for Juvenile called Ha.
Oh, come on. I'm a big Juvenile fan.
So it's, you know the song Ha, right?
Yeah,
it's
of course,
in New Orleans.
Dude. Of course, dude.
And so I was the only Latino in the group. Everyone else is white. And we had to do these, and we were in the worst project in New Orleans called Magnolia Projects.
Okay.
And there was definitely a gang there because they all had the same colors.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the producers that had like a grill on says to me, yo, man, don't ask anybody to do anything until you ask me first. So I went to ask him first, and he was on the phone. He says like this to me. And I said, I'm not doing that all day. So I basically did the first scene. I had the gang work on the first scene. Like they were, arguing with each other. Now they became my security.
Yeah, I'm having
72 setups in 2 days.
That's crazy.
And everybody from the neighborhood, they had to sign a release. Everybody from the neighborhood. Oh, and there was one setup where we had like a Jaguar on a basketball court, and there were like hundreds and hundreds of people in the projects, and I had to clear the set. So I said, look, man, you guys love Juvenile, right? Clear the set. And one person wouldn't. I said, what can I do for you, man? He said, get me a can of Pepsi. I brought him a 6-pack. Imagine that. I mean, that's so crazy.
That is crazy, dude. I'm kind of remembering something James told me now that's a little off my script. But were you on a shoot or like a music video shoot or something with like gunshots or something? Am I making this up? I don't know. I remember James, I think, telling me something about it, and it just like
I've been in a lot of gunshot scenes, man.
Yeah.
As a performer and as a stunt coordinator.
Yeah. Well, I know a music video you definitely were in were the Kings of Leon music video.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah. So how was that experience?
So it's funny because I got to make contact. Did you see how I made contact on his face? Well, the other guy who was a boxer, I had to put his shirt on. So when I hit his face, then it cuts to me going like that. So that was my fist because the stunt coordinator was scared that he was going to
actually hit. That makes sense because
and it was a blast, man. I mean, that was so much fun. And it was literally in one take.
No, I seen it. And it's like the slow-mo too. It's
so that's the first time I worked with the Phantom camera, which shoots like 5,000 frames a second.
Yeah.
And the DP just had it on his arms doing like this. I go, is that because it's high speed? And he goes, yeah. Because if you just do this, it still goes, it doesn't
smooth motion. Yeah,
it doesn't have to be on a tripod or anything.
And you have way more control over the camera too versus like you have control on a tripod, but it's limited if you like need to just like move it. So that actually is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember like the first time you saw that video, like watching it back, like what your feeling was?
I felt like it was fat. I don't have the it factor. Basically, the it factor is, so I worked with Joaquin Phoenix once and with Ed Norton once, and when I saw him in person, I was like, I'm not impressed. But when I saw him in the frame, like in the monitor, I was like, yo, it's like, that's the it factor, man. You could only see me for like 2 minutes, then I'm gonna get shot or punched. And I literally went to American Academy of Arts, and I felt like I was a great stage actor, but I obviously wanted to get in the film business. And the first time I did a short, and I was like, oh my God. I cannot be in front of the camera.
Yeah. What was it like working with Joaquin Phoenix?
Oh, it was great. I did this movie. I forgot what it was called, but, that was a great audition. So I have to play a bad guy. And I had my son. He was like 7 or 8 years old at the time. So I said, Will, I'm going to act pissed, but don't think I'm pissed at you. He's like, oh, okay. Oh, that's fine, Daddy. So Joaquin Phoenix comes walking by with this guy, and I'm eyeballing him. It turned out to be his assistant, and then he just like looks away. So, and then I told the director, look, I just got some bad news, so I'm just going to stay in this mode. And then I just stayed in that mode, and I got the part.
Amazing.
Because I really wanted to work with Joaquin, man.
Yeah, how do these auditions work too? Like, are you always getting the role? Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know. No, you go up against 4 stunt performers. It could be 2. Sometimes I get the role, like I'd say half the time.
Okay.
My last role was working on FBI just a couple years ago, and I had to do the role in Spanish.
Okay.
Which I speak, fluent Spanish, but I actually speak Spanglish. So it's yo vivo en ese building over there, right?
Yeah.
So I had to call my Cuban friend that speaks fluent Spanish, so he gave me the right pronunciation. And I got in my backyard, and my son's shooting me, and I'm like, Dios mío, I'm begging for my life. And all of a sudden, the next door neighbor comes, Chazz, you okay?
That's so funny, yeah.
And then I got the part. Luckily, it was silent because they're hanging me over a railing, and I got one actor who's holding my legs to hold me. So they're pulling this way. And I got a stunt performer that I trust, and he's the one that's holding my legs and leaning my back over this railing. And it was just like a 17-foot drop to marble.
Wow.
And they had no padding. And so, I didn't have time to put my knee pads. I was there for like 12 hours. And I asked the coordinator, will I have time to put my knee pads on? And I didn't. So basically, he punches me in the face twice or 3 times, whatever. Then I have a heart attack. And then I have to hit this concrete. But what I do is I just put my hands down, turn my knees, and then, lay on my back. So it's like being able to think
on your
feet. And just like if you don't have any pads, because a lot of times if you have shorts on, you don't have pads. And if you have, if you don't have any elbow pads, if it's a short sleeve, you're not going to have any elbow pads. So I figure out ways to make it look gnarly because I know there's going to be, a lot of different takes and angles. But there's this one stunt performer out there. He's like I'm one of his biggest fans. He is so hysterical. He was a wrestler once called the Dublin Destroyer, and he's the only stunt performer that doesn't wear pads at all. I mean, he doesn't wear any pads. We were doing a scene in The Last OG, a big fight scene with like 20 stunt performers on cobblestone, and they put a thin mat for the rehearsal. He's like, get this fucking thing out of here. There's actually a short film on Vimeo that's called The Guy.
Okay.
And Brian Donahue, The Guy. And it's amazing. I mean, it's just amazing. So.
Yeah. And you took your expertise because in, I think, 2017, you opened up a stunt school.
2016, yeah.
2016. Yeah. Okay.
And I did that because a good friend of mine, well, first of all, this young kid, Carlos Lopez, I just met him the day before on the set of Power. He was hustling Pete and I. That's before COVID, you can hustle sets. Now, you can't really do that.
Can you explain what it means to hustle a set?
Well, you go on a set and you say hi to the stunt coordinator and you hand him a headshot and a resume. So on his resume, said he worked with Roy Farfel. So I called Roy because he's a good friend of mine. I said, what do you think of Carlos Lopez? He goes, poster boy for stunts, man. He's amazing. He actually doubled the lead bad guy in Hunger Games 1.
Oh, wow. So
he went on vacation in Portugal, and he was a parkour guy, and he sees this ladder, this outside ladder that goes to the fifth story. There's like a balcony, like maybe 8 feet away, and he's drunk. And he tells his girlfriend he's going out to train. And so what happens, the ladder breaks. He falls 5 stories to his death. And I was like, whoa. I really, broke my heart. But I didn't know him as good as the next stunt performer, Basilio. He was training under my wing. We would have training classes before I opened up the school. We would have training classes at my house every weekend because I got a big yard. We do iron palm training, all that stuff. So, iron body training. And, of course, he was a good fighter. But I didn't teach him high falls. So he was doing a shoot and on a roof that had concrete floors. He was going on a mat. He was doing a photo shoot from 10 feet. He was jumping on into the mat. And he had his friends just videotaping. He had no safety measures because you either have cardboard boxes or mats around that key mat. So he challenged himself and he went to 20 feet.
Yeah.
And he looked on the internet and it said, move the mat out. But he was doing backflips. So he basically killed himself because he had no safety measures, and he hit the back of his head. He died 5 days later, and that freaked me out. But the only thing I can put it together was lack of education because there are no stunt schools here in New York. So I opened up the first one because I don't want to see another young kid die.
Yeah, dude, and when things like that happen too, it's like, I'm sure it probably shook the entire industry.
Oh my God, it really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, complacency kills. Lack of knowledge kills and complacency kills. I don't know if you heard about that death on The Walking Dead. Did you ever hear about that?
No, I haven't, but I'm very familiar with the show.
Yeah. So there was a stunt performer, very experienced. He was doing a gag, and there was the stunt coordinator wasn't there, an ambulance wasn't there. It was just a rehearsal with the actor, and so there were 2 stunt performers, playing safety. And then the ramp went out 3 feet from the street. So that's the only place that there was no people or cardboard boxes. So what happened was the actor pushed him as a joke, and his foot caught on the ramp, and he went 25 feet, hit his head.
Oh, no.
Like, if I was doing that, I would have insisted on more stunt people there. I would have insisted on the safety measures going all the way to the wall. And I would have insisted on having an ambulance there.
Yeah.
Complacency kills, man.
Yeah, because, I kind of mentioned it earlier in this, but, when I think about stunts, first thing comes to mind, danger. You know what I mean? It's so
dangerous, but that's why you got to make it safe. It's all about timing and speed and energy. You really have to have your head together, and that's what I teach at my school. First, I teach professionalism. I talk about that for like 20 minutes, and that part of that professionalism is when you send a picture, they're called selfies, you have to put all your information on it. Height, weight, email, phone number, because how do you know if you're 6 feet tall or 5 feet tall? There's no way of knowing that by just looking at a selfie, right? Mm. And that's very professional. So they often call my school for students to possibly do a stunt, and I always ask, what's the stunt? And if I think they could do it, obviously I get them hired. But I make sure they come to my school before they do the stunt, because my job is to deliver really skilled stunt performers. So, and again, that selfie is part of professionalism. I would ask some of those students, literally working with me for 6 months, send me a selfie, and selfie for power, and it'd be like you don't send that to a street show.
Yeah,
you gotta look gangster, and no information on it. And if you don't respond within 20 minutes, there's no job that doesn't let you go to the bathroom. So you got to respond to these people within 20 minutes, or you're going to lose the gig. Yeah, I'm available. I'll call you after I'm on set right now. I actually tell them that, lie to them, white lie, tell them you're on set, and I'll call you at the end of the day, so that they know that they're working and they're more likely to get the gig. The other thing I do is I have my students, I say, if they send me a picture for doubling someone, I have my students make sure they wear similar clothing and they have similar expressions on their faces so that they'll get the stunt double job. Everyone that I've told that to has gotten a stunt double job.
Has there been a student that you had that got a really cool gig that you've just been really proud of?
Oh, yeah. My instructor right now, his first professional gig, he did a fire burn for Power or Ghost, one of those shows. And because they blur. Power was just amazing. I loved the actors, the storyline. The directors were amazing. So his first was a fire burn. Between the rehearsal and the gig, $10,000.
Oh, wow.
One rehearsal in one day. Just for getting on fire for under 5 seconds.
Yeah. There's a lot of risk with that, know?
I know, but, we're
you put the jellies on,
put the gels on them. We actually have to make sure we got total safety. No one ever gets hurt. Here's another funny story. So Jerry Hewitt's brother his name is Don Hewitt, and he's a top stunt performer. He was going to have surgery the next day. It was 19 degrees out for blue bloods. He did a full body burn, and it took him hours. And that gel is really cold. And then I called him up after the surgery. He says, I'm not healing as good as I usually do. I go, you did a full fire burn the night before. Are you kidding me? It's just crazy.
Have you ever done a fire burn?
No.
I was gonna say, like, that's one of the ones where I would draw the line.
I mean, I did a high fall, just that one high fall. And literally most of my, everyone hires me for fighting.
Yeah.
So that's definitely my specialty.
Yeah. Has there been any other things that have been like really rewarding from the school?
Oh yeah, I got a lot of students I'm proud of, but then I got a few that obviously they tell me that they did good, and I speak to the coordinator, and they're like, they didn't do good at all, and that's literally the worst. I mean, it's only happened like once or twice, and I've had to kick stunt performers out of my class because they just.
I was gonna ask you what you do in those instances. Like, is it a phone call? Like, do you like set them aside?
No, in their face, man.
Yeah.
I just say, get the fuck out. You kidding me? And then, so they come to my class. I used to teach classes at my house. And this woman comes in and she wants to talk about it. And I said, well, what kind of athletics do you do? She goes, yoga. I go, full contact yoga? Obviously making a joke. And then I had Emily Catahania, who is a really small girl, but she's a badass. And so I take the medicine ball and I start banging her body really hard. And she's taking it, of course. And then I just tap that person, the woman that came, and she left, man, never to be seen again. And here's another story. So there's this really young kid. His sport was like he would ride a bicycle like every few weeks. So I said, just watch the class. And there's this really big guy. I forgot his name. But anyway, there's a really big guy, and he's fighting all my students. And he's literally a superhero. So he does this, and people go flying. And then this kid's name was Chris. The class said, hey, have Chris throw the last punch, like pop out of nowhere and throw the last punch because he's so small and the other guy's so big. So I had him do that. It took him 5 times. And then when we looked at it, because we would edit it right there in my studio inside.
Yeah.
And then not one of the punches worked. And I said, see, it's harder than it seems.
It is tricky. What's the biggest, mistake that stunt people make on set?
Not paying attention, talking, being on their phones. I mean, as a veteran, you know not to do that.
Yeah. Is that what the people that, got in trouble, was it stuff like that or like they weren't landing? It was more just, so it doesn't actually sometimes land on the stunt itself. It just lands on how they carry themselves.
Exactly. It's professional. Like I said, I'll tell you a story. So a good friend of mine, she boxes, and she gets hired for a gig with Tony Guida to choke out an actress, just choke an actress. So I said, you know how to do that? She goes, yeah. I said, come to my house, because I always do that. With my students, I tell them to come to my house to make sure they're prepared, because that's my job, to get them, good stunt performers. So she goes to choke me, and she literally I was like, ugh. So what I told her and I tell the if I'm coordinated, I tell the actress or the actor, when they're choking you too hard, just stink your nails in her arm so she knows or he knows to loosen it up, and they don't have to cut the shot. So I made sure that she told the actress that she was choking, and it just totally worked. I said, your arms just got to be tight, like you're pushing. And it's really the actor's work. So if you do this, it's the actor's job to put the pressure on it.
Yeah.
You just keep your hand tight. It's the actor's job.
No, it makes a lot of sense, dude.
And when you pull someone's hair, you just got to hold it so they're not pulling your hair.
And it's more them just like accommodating.
It's all acting. It's all acting. We call it stacking. Because if you punch somebody or you get punched and your face is like this, it's not acting.
Yeah.
You don't buy it. So, and you always got to snap and look back, because if you don't look, unless it's the last shot, if you just do this, you're not going to see the next piece of choreography. And that's real important. I tell people, just go home and snap your neck. And that's it. Like, that's how you could train by yourself. But I want them, and I literally tell them, you don't become a stunt performer in this class, because they don't hit the ground at all. My floor is padded. They don't even have to put knees or elbows on. I said, you a stunt performer, what you do between these classes. Get some pads on, some fucked up clothes, and hit the fucking ground, because that's what you get paid for, hitting the ground.
Yeah. What's some advice that you'd have, not necessarily just to like stunt people, but, anybody who's kind of going off the beaten path and trying to get into something that's like, a different career, like, because a stunt performer isn't like a traditional career that most people have. You know what I mean? So I'm looking to see like what advice you'd have for somebody who wants to just like, try something different with their life.
Is that different stunts?
Like I'm saying just like in general, like if they just have a dream that they want to pursue and like a career that they want to pursue that like is outside of the normal.
Yeah, so I would say be ready to do it. Like be prepared. Preparation meets opportunity equals success.
No, I think that's great too, because I think a lot of people like sometimes you just gotta like jump into it, but like I mean, as much as you can prepare possible.
Well, I could jump into any stunt that I'm capable.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally go to set not knowing what we're doing, and we don't find out till we read the sides.
Yeah,
Because you don't want to ask a stunt coordinator, "What am I doing?" Because this is a great story. When I started the stunt school, I basically reached out to all the East Coast stunt coordinators to tell me what they want me to teach. So this isn't my curriculum. It's the entire stunt community's curriculum. So Jared Burke said, don't ask what your stunt is. So she said, this young girl said, what's my stunt? And he goes, well, you're going to fall into train tracks. She was like, oh, that's scary. I was like, there's going to be pads there. They're going to shoot it out of frame. What's scary about it?
Yeah, and it's also like that's not necessarily what you'd want to hear from the stunt person that's about to do the stunt.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it from what I'm understanding too ends up just being like a lot of like how you carry yourself and professionalism.
Totally.
Do you feel like that's what's taking you to the next level?
Oh, that's so.
On top of being good?
What took me to the next level was I would do pre-vises for free, which is basically rehearsals for free. And that's how I got in. It's a team called the Stunt Specialist. It's like, Pete Picosi, Jerry Hewitt, Bill and Agnes, Keith Singlinger, Manny Severio, Mike Russo, Tim Gallen. So they're all part of this Stunt Specialist. And I actually made their demo. So I basically, it's a Stunt Specialist, and I not only made it, but I narrate it. I just pitched my voice down so it doesn't sound like me. And what's the thing? Just look up Stunt Specialist on YouTube.
I will.
Yeah.
So the thing too, especially with those like, you said it's called a previs?
Yeah, previs.
The thing about that too, it's like it also gives you opportunity to like make sure things are safe, make sure things are good. Like, you know what I mean?
I learn more when I'm not on, like I learn more when I haven't been paid than when I was getting paid. I basically learned by the best and just never asked any questions, trusted them. But if I saw that there was some potential danger, then you could say something. And then they'll give you the, oh, I didn't see that, or this is what you do.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to pull it to where you're at right now because I want to talk to you about your nonprofit.
Yeah, so my nonprofit's called Support Cubans, that's plural, .life, L-I-F-E. And so I was the only one in my family that was born in the U.S., and I thought I grew up poor because me and my brother slept in one bed and my two sisters slept in the bed next to us. Then we moved uptown and we got, separate beds, obviously separate rooms. And then we moved even uptown more. It was like the straight line. And that's when we considered ourselves middle class because as we got older, we could, follow our careers. Cuba doesn't have that. Like and the amazing thing is they smile. Like I couldn't believe the energy. And I have a big heart because my mom had a big heart. And so that's really why I felt like my mother was just reaching out to me because I didn't get to go till I was 58, but that was my mother's doing because if I would have come any sooner, I wouldn't have been able to help because I had kids that were raised. I was raising kids. But my kids are doing fantastic. My 18-year-old just bought his first truck and is paying for it. And my 19-year-old just graduated from Diesel School. He works full-time now at AutoZone. He's having a test with MTA in May. So they're just like, but here's the secret. So I just told them the other day this too. So even if they watch this podcast. So I started working at 7 when I was 7 years old, shining shoes. And then I had like up to 3 jobs at a time because my family didn't have any money. So I had to spend that on food and shelter and, because I was the youngest of the family, but I was the first to leave at 19. And my kids don't have to pay for any of that. So there was a pizza place around the corner, and I got him to work there. but I was paying for it. I was paying them to pay them. I was paying the pizza place to pay them. So they thought they had jobs, and let me tell you something, they got amazing work ethics. And it cost me $100 cash a month, best money I ever spent. And then I also had them like with wheelbarrows from like when they were 8 years old. I mean, carrying like 100 pounds of rocks, because that's all about balancing. They would do the garbage. They would literally fight over the recyclables. It's just crazy, the work ethic. If you saw it if you saw any one of those videos, it's basically child abuse.
Yeah.
So the trick is to make them work not till they get exhausted. Like, don't force them to work. It's make it fun so that, we're doing gardens, whatever we're doing, because I had them do all that. From that, we adopted one when he was 9 months old, and my other son, Miles, we adopted when he was 3 years, 2 months. So literally from the first day they got there, they had to work, man. And it's literally gave them it worked better than I ever thought. I mean, Miles takes care of all the work, all the paperwork for our cars. And Will is just an amazing kid. I mean, they're both amazing boys. So
yeah, and I think just instilling a good work habit early on is actually something important because it'll benefit you for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I worked up to 3 jobs. I gave up a $1,500 job a week to work at a recording studio that only paid me $125 for 40 hours, but I would work 80 hours a week, so I would get a check for like $300, and because it's overtime, obviously $350 or $400. And they didn't take out taxes.
Yeah.
So I had to pay the taxes. This is a crazy story. I had to pay my taxes. I didn't. All of a sudden, I go to get $20 out of the bank, and they froze my account.
Yeah, today's tax day too, dude.
It's like the only thing you have to do is die and pay taxes, man.
Yeah.
I learned that like immediately.
Yeah, dude. Well, Chazz, I'm going to start taking this to the end zone.
Okay.
What's your message to the world?
Support Cubans.life.
Let's go.
Really, it's just a great organization, and I just started it. So I just want to let you know that when you see rich people that don't give nothing, it's because they have to maintain that. Like if they have a $200,000 car, you got to pay for all that. It's like the reason why they're cheap is because they have these castles, and how do you keep that going, right?
Yeah.
By keeping your money. So Cyndi Lauper, my wife told me this just the other day. Cyndi Lauper, when she was on The Apprentice with Donald Trump, she had a fundraiser, and none of her millionaire friends donated. Only $5 here, $10 here. But it amounted. So what I say is go on the site. If you only have $5, donate $5. If you only have $10, donate $10. Like everything's going to add up. And basically, we're 100%, we give 100% to the people of Cuba. Of course, we have to fly there, and that's what they're paying for too. And there's 3 ways to donate. You can either donate by emptying out your cabinets of everything, clothing, just like anything. Anything like forks and knives. I mean, they got nothing there. Can openers. If you go to the site, supportcubans.life, I put a video together to show you how you can donate. So you can donate used products. You can go on Amazon Prime and just change the shipping address to my shipping address. I have a shipping address, shipping.
P.O. box kind of thing?
Yeah, no, it's Cube Smart in New Rochelle.
Okay.
111 Cedar Street, because I have I rent a space there. Or you can donate money so that we can fly back and forth. Me and my team can fly back and forth to Cuba. We stay at an Airbnb that is in the most horrible section. And, but they smile, man. It's like nothing but love there. I mean, they obviously have to do what they do. Like they rob from each other, some of them do. But I mean, they pay doctors the equivalent of $40 a month. And it's like they have to clean everything. Like they have to clean their gloves. It's really horrible.
What's one of the rewarding things that your nonprofit has done that felt like you were really making a difference?
Well, listen, I've always said putting a smile on a person's face is like the biggest reward. And I've always been like that. Like I've gotten, there's stunt students that I know are good, for this business, and I don't take any money from them. Nobody knows that. They basically have scholarships. I've paid for people's driving courses, which is like $2,200, because I believe in those stunt performers. And I always said when I was young, every ditch I dug, I said, if I ever make money, I'm giving it away. And it's literally my motto. And so it's a really good cause, man.
Yeah.
It's a really great cause, and I'm very passionate about it. And like I said, we take no profit at all. Every bit of the money, every bit of the essentials, especially medicine, because they need all of that. When I went for the second time, I met this woman in my Airbnb. She lived upstairs, and she had diarrhea for 2 months. I thought she was going to die. I could not find any Pepto-Bismol or Imodium nowhere in Havana, including the tourist area. So I came back a week later for just 48 hours, bought another 2 50-pound bags of essentials, and basically saved her life.
Well, I'm excited to see how that grows too, dude. And
Thank you,
know,
man.
I hope
this is helping for sure.
Yeah, I hope people continue to support the cause too.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah. Well, Chazz, I'm very thankful to have you on today. I appreciate you sharing some of the industry's, stuntman secrets today. And
thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
A lot of good stories too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to get excited about some of these stories that you told today too.
I mean, I saw your story, man. It's amazing.
I appreciate that, dude.
Inspiring, bro.
Thank you, dude. You too, dude. You too.
Man.
Well,
that's what we're here for, to inspire each other.
Amen, dude. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I want to share with you guys my thought of the day. And my thought of the day is this. It's important how you carry yourself. You may be great at your craft, but if you're not professional, you might lose out on some opportunities. And as always, you have to believe before the world does.